What's up, guys? Duran Torres, School of Home Guide Service, SOC Flies. Gonna do a video today on just a few tips to help fly tyers get better. Okay, these are things that I've learned the hard way over time. These are things that if somebody would told me these, 15 years ago when I started tying flies, I probably would have progressed faster. But I think there is some value in learning them the hard way. But for those of you that are getting into it right now and are struggling a little bit, I would definitely would have liked to learn these things when I was starting. So, number one, pick a pattern. Okay, it's super hard to decide on one pattern to pick because you go on Google and you go in stores and you see all these different flies that are, you got your top 10 trout nymphs and your top 10, steelhead flies and your all these other things, and you see so many and there's so many materials and they all look super cool and you want it all. But if you're beginning, you need to pick one pattern. And this is kind of where I go against some of the beginning books and the beginning videos. I say pick a pattern that you want to learn, that you absolutely love the looks of, okay? Don't just tie a woolly booger or, a prince nymph or a hare's ear or any of these other beginning flies just for the sake of tying them and just because the book says that's what you should probably learn first. No. Pick a fly that you absolutely love the look of and you want to fish. The reason I say that is because that's the only way that you're going to stick with that learning curve part of tying these flies. If you're tying flies that you're not going to fish and you don't really care about, you're not going to stick with it, okay? It's the same thing if you're learning guitar, okay? I say find a song that you absolutely want to learn and you listen and you struggle through until you can play that song, okay? That end goal, that wanting to play that song, that wanting to tie this super cool spade fly, that's what's going to keep you driven to go in there at the bench every day and tie and tie and tie, okay? So pick a pattern that you absolutely love, and only buy the materials and the things you need for that pattern. Keep tying that thing over and over and over again until you have it mastered. And all of the techniques that you're going to use to master that fly, you'll be able to use across the board when you start to tie different patterns, okay? But pick a pattern. I'm going to repeat it. Pick a pattern that you absolutely love and that you want to fish with. Boom. Number two, proportions and measurement. While you're tying these flies, it's very, very, very important to measure your materials based on the size of the hook that you're tying on, okay? This is just a jig hook. It doesn't matter what the hook is. When you're measuring things, you don't just grab pieces of material and cut them the length that you think might look kind of cool, okay? Get used to using the hook and different parts on the hook for measurement, okay? Half the length of the hook, okay? The gap of the hook from the head to the end of the hook. Any of these different measurements here will help the proportions of your fly look correct, okay? In nature, when you see bugs or you see different animals and different things, the proportions of the body type are designed a certain way to look right, okay? There's people, you don't have insects with arms 3 times as long as the legs and all these weird looking things. For the most part, the proportions of the body are meant to look the way they're supposed to look. So the whole point is when you're measuring your materials, okay, when you're getting feathers, when you're pulling these things down for the tails and everything else, make sure you measure with the hook to get your proportions to look right. That's what's going to make your fly look good to your eye, okay? Number 3, thread tension. This is something that's big that I wish I would have learned a long time ago. I kind of learned it the hard way. And what that means is whatever thread you're going to end up using, whatever thread you're going to end up using for this one pattern that you've picked, okay, practice with this thread and figure out how hard you can pull on it until it breaks, okay? There's nothing worse for a beginner than going through your fly and getting really close and you start to kind of pull on it, boom, your thread breaks, the fly unravels, and you've spent 30 minutes trying to tie this thing and it's all unraveled, okay? Super disappointing. So to avoid that, just take a bare hook and, you know, wrap your thread up here and pull on this and pull it and twist it and do what you need to do to figure out how hard you can really put pressure on this thing. Okay, the reason for that is, one, to know the breaking strength and know how hard you can pull on it, but two, when you're tying flies, and when you get better at tying flies, you're going to put different amounts of thread tension on your fly throughout the fly. Okay, at certain points you're going to have lighter tension on it. At certain points you're going to slowly increase the tension on it. At certain points you're going to really pull down on it hard. So what you really need to do is figure out, with whatever thread you're using, how hard you can pull on that thread and be able to manipulate the tension on your thread throughout the fly. Right? The last one, number 4, is get educated. Okay, there's a wealth of information out there. YouTube is awesome, so I'm making this video right now. YouTube is awesome for watching people tie patterns. Okay, I think it's neat to look through books. I have a lot of different fly tying books. It's neat to kind of read through and look, but honestly, I think the best way to learn different patterns is get on YouTube, find guys that know how to tie the flies that you're looking for, and watch them. Watch it over and over and over again, and try to manipulate or try to copy what they're doing. Okay, use all the stuff that they're using. Try to copy exactly what they're doing, because those guys that are on there doing that, they've put in the time, and they're professionals, you know, at what they're doing with the tie-in flies. Okay, so get educated. Do a lot of research in there, watch a lot of videos, put in a lot of time, and keep going with it. Eventually you'll get to where you can tie whatever kind of flies you want, and you'll get away from following instructions, and you'll start to branch off into designing your own flies and taking a certain style of fly and changing it and making it look the way you want it to look. Okay, so just to recap again, a few tips that new fly tyers should start using right away if you want to tie better flies. 1, you pick the pattern, and pick the pattern that you want to tie, that you absolutely love. Okay. 2, proportions and measurement. Make sure you're using the hook to measure your materials, which is going to make the proportions of that fly look better. 3, thread tension. Make sure you take your thread and practice pulling on it and giving it as much tension as you can, and figuring out the breaking strength of that thread so that you know how much tension to put on it throughout the fly. And then 4, get educated. Watch a bunch of YouTube videos, look online, copy what guys are doing out there that you really like, learn those skills, practice those skills. Okay, if you want to check out more flies, go to schoolofchrome.com, and you can see all of these different flies that I tie. You can subscribe to the YouTube page. I'll be putting different flies up, different jigs up, and keep at it, guys.